Mr. Derek Brenner. How you
In
doing?
the hizzle, what's cracking?
Oh, just another weekend of filming my brother dump sand all over himself.
Hmm.
It's
Classic.
it's it's pretty normal. I mean, speaking of this, I know you've been seeing this ALS Ice Bucket challenge thing. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I have two thoughts on it. One of the things, like, I dig the concept of people getting together, any sort of like crowdfunding, like people hopping on an idea and watching it spread. But when all the big name celebrities get involved, like Oprah is doing one, I saw LeBron James, it becomes almost more of this like little click thing, like, oh, I did a video, and people want it just for more for like their attention. I'm sure it helps promote in some way and get other people inspired. It's great to see the celebs involved, but like how many people are really doing it that they want to help, they even know about ALS, and how many people are just like, oh, this is a cool trendy thing that comes about. So
Did you
that's just
s-
initially.
did you see Bill Gates' video or
No, he did
a
one
couple of
too.
other guys? Yeah,
Okay.
he did one too. So did what's his face from Zuckerberg.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw them, but yeah, I mean it's definitely a trendy thing right now. I like the concept too. Anytime you're giving away stuff, money, whatever, or challenges or promoting is great. But at the same time, I kind of feel the same way you do. It's just like, is this a publicity stunt now, or is this because you actually care? Like
Mhm.
Gates put a lot of effort into his video. Like the video quality was great. It wasn't just like, oh,
He's
I'm
got
going to do this.
resources. He's got
Yeah,
resources.
he's like, I'm not. It wasn't one of just those things where he's just like, I'm going to do this with my phone. I think that would be more appealing to me if we just been like, Bill Gates, hey, like I'm just going to do this on my
What kind of
iPhone. But
phone do you
then
think Bill Gates uses? Does he have something that's not even on the market? It's
I
crazy.
I think he
It's
has
in
a.
his brain.
I'm going to say he has a iPhone 7. He's probably got like
Why is
he's
Bill
probably
Gates
got
using an
connections.
iPhone? He's going to the dark side.
He secretly doesn't like Microsoft.
He's always
He's
wanted to be
secretly
Steve
like,
Jobs. Like he took out Steve. He's like, I just want it so bad.
actually,
Um,
this
yeah.
is off topic too. Have you used the Windows Phone? I have it for my work phone, and I
No.
actually think it's great. To be honest,
Yeah.
I'm really impressed by it.
I've been an iPhone guy for a while. I got it for new phone should be coming out, but back to the ALS thing.
Yeah.
Um, and then as far as like the publicity, one thing we always talk about, even from like university perspective, greenwashing. Like you hear all these companies like we're going green, but they're not really fully committed. They're committed as much to where they get public recognition and that in their whatever board meetings they can make it look like and they can to the public make it seem like they are really care about the community. But at the end of the day, profits still seem to be the underlying motive for everything that they're doing. So until it's really something where like we see as a collective, like people really want to change the way we're living. And I mean, for me, it's like improving diet. I know you're big on the nutrition, like that's
Yeah.
the number one aspect for you. But let's look at that. Like, what else can we do as opposed to like dump cold water and donate some money? Like, how can we actually get people informed? Because as far as we know, I mean, a lot of these diseases can be prevented through nutrition, through proper diet, exercise, like the main things. It's a reduced stress life, drinking lots of water, getting the proper nutrients, and exercising. Like that's been the magic prescription forever. And us as a culture, we're so lazy that we would rather just take this pill or, oh, I guess I could donate some money. I'll donate some money. 'Cause isn't that the thing? If you don't dump water on yourself, then you have to donate.
Right. Exactly. But it's like everybody's still dumping water on themselves. I
Yeah.
mean,
And regardless, yeah.
actually, this is kind of off topic. Kai Green got involved. He actually matched Dana Lynn Bailey's donation of $500. So that was nice of him. And I mean, it was kind of a very interesting video because he was like in the squat position, and he's huge, and he always is wearing freaking sweatshirts and all that kind of crazy stuff. And like I said, I like the idea. I think you're right. I think really what we should be targeting is implementation. It's one thing donating money, but it's like, what are you actually doing other than giving a piece, some paper to somebody to actually, inform? I think that's what you're kind of getting to. It's like really about informing and kind of implementing some
Well,
sort
it's,
of
it's like
idea.
grassroots, like getting down to how are we actually helping people? Because you'll find out if you do enough research as far as like the amount of money that gets donated to cancer, what actually goes towards research, and how much of it is to pay the big executives for the campaigns and stuff
Right.
like that. Like
Right.
at the end of the day, like we want what's the most contribution we can do to the actual root of the problem. Like just throwing money at it and putting out some videos may not necessarily fix it. I mean, it's a great start as opposed to doing nothing. But for myself, like I'm always like the idealist. Like what does it take to get there?
I agree. I agree. And I mean, I see a lot of obese kids, which is it's definitely sad to me because I'm just like, man,
Oh yeah.
it's really not. I mean, it's just like, when kids are young, that's when their minds are they're sponges, so
Yeah.
they're not taught at an early age, or they're given everything they want, food wise at an early age. Then I feel like it's going to be a lot harder for them to break that down the road. I mean, but it's everybody's choice. You can't. It's not like I can go up to somebody with an obese child and say, "Hey, what are you feeding your kid? Why are you doing this to your kid?" But it definitely,
Mhm.
gives me a
Why do you
soft
think?
spot.
Why do you think it like that's like taboo as far as, for example, if you saw that kid was smoking cigarettes, right, you might be more apt to like approach the mom and be like, why are you letting your kid smoke cigarettes? At what level are we going to be like, all right, no one needs to be eating all this refined sugar? Like that may be what it takes is to get more like involved now that there's no smoking allowed like in public places. Essentially, in most states, I mean, anywhere like restaurants, anywhere that maybe you used to be able to smoke, and you've seen cigarette stuff drop from that aspect. When is it going to be something where it's like, hey, listen, lady, that's not best for your child. Like you don't even realize all those artificial sugars, how harmful they are in the long term.
Yeah, and this is kind of like off topic, but on topic, since this is I guess you would say, fitness, life, functionality type of podcast that we're working on.
This is a philosophy on human achievement.
I That's great. I like that. I like that. That's our mission. But it's one of those things where I thought it would be, and this might be like almost micromanaging somebody, is um, to kind of have something on their ID that limits what they can buy from fast food chains. I almost think that I mean, yeah, it almost seems like you're trying to, it takes away some freedom, I guess, that people would say. That would be the argument. But I mean, when we're talking about kids and we're saying, hey, you're at 50% body fat, like, should you really be allowed to go to McDonald's? I mean, you're trying to save lives, but it's one of those things like, yeah, you're allowed to do what you want, but at the same time, it's like, at what point does somebody have to be aggressive and intervene? I always thought, especially with kids, on IDs, it might not be such a bad thing to have, body fat percentage on there, and kind of regulate what they can buy from fast food restaurants. I've thrown that idea around, and some people would probably be like, that's kind of ridiculous. But at the same time, it's not. The intention is not to like force people to do anything. The intention is to kind of maybe have people understand that it's really about calories, and it's really about, hey, portion control and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It was something I thought about, and I was like, man, because I'm always thinking about this too. It's like, okay, at what point obesity in America is awful. Like if you look at the statistics,
30%,
30%,
and then 60% are overweight.
right? So at what point when we're going to be like, you can have Michelle Obama doing all these things and talking about, hey, this is what we should do. We're trying to get fit for whatever the campaign is, but I think it's going to take a little bit more than that, personally.
Yeah, and for me, what comes up there is like getting at the root of the issue, especially when you look at, and this is more of the life coaching philosophy, that everyone's doing the best with what they have to work with. That at the end of the day, many of these people just don't see the big picture as far as why they should be eating healthy. They just see they see cheeseburger, they like cheeseburger. It could be just a habit that's built in. It could even be, at some level, food becomes an addiction.
Yeah, yeah.
So, treating it, coming out with some more compassion in that sense, and like getting at the root. What is it? If they understood, I always have the feeling that like all human beings have the potential to be great, to really flourish in their environment, and it just takes a particular understanding, more knowledge, and more light on the situation. So
maybe
yes,
eventually
we could definitely like limiting at some level, but you see, like someone's always gonna find a way around like the blockade. It's got to come like a more holistic approach from that standpoint.
Yeah,
But
I
I like where
agree.
you're going.
I agree. Like I said, I mean, I know it's something that's not as that really is not something that would be easy to implement. You know, it's the same with alcohol. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I drank alcohol before I was 21. It wasn't really hard to get it. Technically, that was illegal, you know, but
Yep.
it's the same concept, same idea, and I really think it's. I don't know. Maybe in the future we'll try to find some sort of way. I know that they're trying to do different things in the cafeteria, but to be honest with you, my idea of what's good and what's bad is, and you know this too, is a little bit different than the stereotypical things that people would say. You know, I'm all about quantity. You
Mm.
know, I understand how important quality is, but limiting quantity, and I don't think they still do that at the cafeteria
Yeah.
level. I think it's still just like, oh yeah, you know, fruits, vegetables, mac and cheese that's low fat. I mean, anything is bad if you have too large of a quantity. So, like I said, I don't know where it's going to go. Hopefully, we'll figure something out in the long run. Um,
There's this project going on like in Iowa City called the, I don't know, I'll hold it up here.
Blue
The
Zones Project.
Blue Zones Project, yeah. And so they have like all these like particular criteria if you want to join, be a part of the initiative. Um, and they're presenting it to like the senator. I can't think of his name now. Iowa senator, but one of them. And the whole thing is like one of the main requirements is like only having 10-inch plates in your house.
Okay, yeah.
So that looking at like that makes a huge difference. So like the size of your plate, depending on the portions you start divvying out, like having a solid exercise foundation, all these sorts of things. What's up, Joe? And I mean, from that aspect, like there are like things we can do. I think in the long run, and what's happening as a collective uh, culture, we have the merger of technology. Like technology is really being integrated with our everyday life. Like you and I are communicating over these crazy the internet. You know, what is the internet? Somehow my voice is being digitized, scrambled into ones and zeros, transmuted all the way across the United States, and then re-digitized so you can hear it. And we don't really think about that every day. Like how absurd that is to someone even 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So where technology leads us, hopefully, is taking us in a place where we can improve the quality of life. I think that technology is our aid as far as helping us live more, less struggle, less suffering, and that may include, helping with diet. So who knows what it's going to look like in a couple of years.
Yeah, we really, I mean, that's one thing that you and I could talk all day about, but it is one of those things where I think technology will advance in some sort of way. I think that, if they come out with something where they can figure out everybody's maintenance calories, life would be easy,
I mean, what about like wearable clothing that you wear that's giving you all sorts of information, like, or something that you digest, like a particular pill or something that you digest, and it can give you your readout on your iPhone, so you know your calories. If you're lacking, your vitamin B12 levels are low, you need to get more niacin in your body or something like that.
Yeah, I think I think we've talked about this before.
We met there was a guy at one of the University of Iowa entrepreneurship festival things, and they're all into like tracking the information. Like they have more updated versions of the Nike Fuel Band. Like they want to really get everything into numbers, quantify it, which I think is great in some aspect. I don't want my whole life to be quantified.
Yeah, are we talking about cardio strong?
Today, I experienced 76 points of love today. Feeling great. Just need to get some more love.
Was that cardio strong company? Or is that
No, they're doing something else, but I like their drinks and stuff. They've got some good ideas.
Yeah, but in that market, it's going to be hard to compete. Anyways, that could be a whole another topic. But moving on to another topic that's completely off hand, but I'm sure will lead us to somewhere is, although you're more into yoga, you do the weightlifting, but you're into the yoga, you're into the functional fitness type of stuff. I'm more into the weightlifting. I mean, who or what physique is one that you would say that you admire, or that you would like to be with? I know you and I could probably both say I like Elliot Hulse's physique, because it's like it's not shredded, but it's one of those things where it's just like it's just big.
I think he invokes like the sense of power. He's grounded, confident. For myself, I think I've showed you the like top CrossFit dude, Rich Froning.
Oh hell yeah, hell yeah,
Froning.
Froning.
Yeah, and he's like
He's won
unbelievable.
again too, man.
And yeah, and what it comes down to is like he's at some level just a genetic freak. Like it doesn't matter what particular sport he would play, like CrossFit. You know, he was going to dominate whatever he was going to do. Um, and the more and more I used to be more into like the bulkier, like really just jacked up, like a
Yeah.
lot of like NFL linebacker type, like that sort of stockiness, thinking that. But as I even in my own go down my own path, like I've always been a pretty average size individual. Wasn't real skinny, but wasn't real plump. And I wanted to reach that plumpness, and I maybe I don't know if I've ever talked about this in any other videos with you, like when we were weightlifting, but I went through a phase where I was doing the weightlifting out of insecurity, that I felt I needed to be larger in order to have more confidence, to attract ladies. It was all like to fill this need, like I wasn't enough as I was.
Yeah.
I had to change my body in some way in order to please people. And yoga is one thing that I got into after that because it wasn't about, there was no competition. I was in the mode of, all right, I want to be healthy. I want to live a long, fulfilled life, like have much more, like a higher, I guess, quality of relationships in my life. Like everything I wanted was less quantifiable. And it's just like this thing that you just experience. And so I got away from the weightlifting thing. But at one point I was taking lots of supplements from Complete Nutrition. Like I took pro hormones.
Okay, yeah.
It's like two different cycles of that, and you get into all, and they'll sell you on everything. I mean, because what they're doing is they're like meeting you right where your insecurity is, and like, oh yeah, man, you want to get a lot bigger. It's almost like they know exactly when you walk in the door. Some of these expert salesmen in nutrition supplements, but they'll try and sell you everything from pre-workouts to post-workouts. And granted, I would say I achieved some of the results I was looking for, but at the end of the day, I didn't have that feeling. You know, I wasn't complete, and so I was like, this is what I want. Now I got like higher blood pressure, and I'm spending all this money on this stuff that probably is deteriorating my health. So to anyone who's going through that, like that path, that cycle, I would say take a good look in the mirror and ask yourself why it is that you weight train. Well, you call it training. I think that's really cool. As opposed, I work out. You know. What is the underlying root? Is it because you want to be healthy, you want to live longer, and you want to be more fulfilled in other aspects of your life, and you feel good doing it, or is it because you need to achieve some superficial idea of who you need to be?
Yeah, I 1,000,000% agree with you, everything you just said, which I normally do. But you know, it's one of those things where, and I've talked about this before too. You know, I obviously dealt with insecurities. I started losing my hair when I was super young. Like somebody called me out on it when I was like 15 at the earliest, you know, and that was obviously something that it caused a lot of insecurities, and it was hard for me to deal with at the time. And I went into a GNC once, and this guy's like, man, all you do is buy mass gainers. All you do is buy mass gainers. He's like, go down to this nutrition store. It was like driving 45-minute drive. Go down to this nutrition store, buy this supplement, and you will gain 20 pounds. And I didn't even ask any questions. I said, yep, sounds good, let's do it. And sure enough, I bought the supplement. I gained 20 pounds, but I wasn't, like you said, you know, I still wasn't content. And you know, it's good not to necessarily be content all the time. You do have to find kind of a common ground. And I think we've talked about this too. Like I use training instead of working out, because working out implies that it's like 15 minutes and it's over with, and training implies that it's a never-ending type of thing. But you know, I train for the sake of training. I love to train. I get so many other benefits from it than just physical, and that's what I really enjoy. I mean, I could train every day for the rest of my life, not gain an ounce more muscle, and I'd still be happy. You know, it's just something I like to do. You know, something that I live for, and I get it. And anybody that knows me, when I haven't trained for 4 or 5 days, I'm like irritated, and I'm not really fun to be around. So I think it's something that like I almost need to relieve stress. And when I get there, it's all about just this. You know, I forget about the problems going on. I think about, you know, I'm just there in the moment. That's the one thing, and that's kind of like a meditation type thing.
I was just going to say, you sound exactly, that's how I describe meditation.
Yeah, and I think that that's the one place where, like, you know, you and I would go work out, and there'd be days where I'd be like pissed off about something. Then we get there, we'd work out, and I'd forget all about it. You know. I mean, I'd eventually revisit it later, but for that hour and a half, whatever it was, I would totally forget about it. I'd do my thing. I'd enjoy it. I would love life.
Exactly, and that's when we're at the happiest, is when we're not fixed on past things or having anxiety about future things, is when we can just be in what's going on and do that fully, give it our full attention. So.
Yeah, I agree. Joe just shut the light off on me. We're gonna figure out. Hold on. What? We got our crazy neighbor hanging out next to us, I guess. So Joe's trying to hide away. I'll switch to your camera for a while, Mr. Derek. But
all right,
with
man.
that being said, I mean, I definitely agree with you. Rich Froning, great. You know,
I didn't really like
great.
that. You know, Scooby.
Oh yeah, the dude with the huge ass chest.
Yeah, he had a video where he talked about that Jeff Seid guy.
Seid, yeah, I watched that too.
I've just started following that dude on Instagram, but not really even digging his physique. I think he looks better when he's not. Some of these competitions where they like totally dehydrate themselves.
Yeah.
It looks really like unnatural to me, and I'm like, ooh. You know, some way like kind of grosses me out because I'm like, you need some water, sir. You look parched.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Jeff Seid's got a great physique. I mean, people want to say that he's on steroids and all that. I truly don't believe in. This is the reason why. If you look at pictures of the kid when he was 14, he was just like Rich, genetically blessed. Like you could tell he has a structure. And I've told you this too. You have really good structure too. And I think, you know, if you ever did want to get super big, I think that it's in the cards if you ate enough. But you know, he's got good structure, good lines. You know, and that's kind of what's going for him. He is kind of a douchebag. As far as if you've seen his Instagram, you've seen him like doing his thing. But you got to think about it. I mean, when I don't know the guy. Right, exactly. And you know, I'm not gonna lie. When I was 19, if I looked like that, and if I was pro, and if I was making that much money, you know, it would probably be hard not to get caught up with that and the women and the money and the, you know, notoriety and guys telling you every single day that you're the best ever. And I mean. So it's kind of hard until you're in that position. It's kind of hard to say how you'd react. But he's doing him. You can obviously tell he loves his.
No, and hopefully he can take it somewhere where, like, you respect Elliot Hole so much more for like who he is and the stuff he brings as opposed to like what he looks like. Yeah. And I think if your whole entire foundation is built on outward appearance, which will never last, like, and Elliot Holt's the concept he's bringing about is like an idea never dies. Whereas, I mean, biceps get saggy, man. You know, you start to put on body like you can't just have everything built around that. That's maybe just part of his evolution where he's at in his life right now. But I respect people who also like who bring something else to the table along with their physique. You know what I mean? Like there's so much more to individuals. But there's some other. Dude, I honestly like watching. I don't know his physique wise. But who's the guy that always says motherfucking this, motherfucker?
Chris Jones?
I was in the gym banging out arms. It was my magnificent obsession. We used to joke around about him all the time. He always makes videos. Oh. What is his name?
I don't know. Dude, there's so many guys on there.
This black dude that went to jail for a while, and he came out, and now he's like, does a bunch of YouTube videos.
C.T. Fletcher?
C.T. Fletcher, yes. I dig what his videos are very entertaining, and I think he's got an extraordinary physique as well. But especially it should be more about what fitness channel do we like as opposed to just the physiques.
Dude, you know, and we've talked about this too.
It gets me inspired, like yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym.
Hell yeah, and you know, especially with, I mean, you know, I have a little fitness channel I've been working on, and you know, there's only so many times you can watch a workout. Somebody's got to bring something different to the table to where you're like, okay, I'm going to stop. CT, he has that personality. He has that, you know, when he talks that you just like, you just almost are like, yeah, let's do it. Let's
I'm like ready to follow this guy into battle. I'm just like, yes,
yeah, exactly.
Let's go, hoorah!
Exactly. And I think that's how he got. I mean, granted, he does have a great physique too. Huge arms.
It's his magnificent obsession, which I think is, in some levels, that's like some information for people as far as like if you really want something that bad. He talked about like you just set your mind to it. There's nothing stopping you. You're gonna work as long as it takes to get and achieve this thing. Many people who go to the gyms, like your people that join in January, they don't really want to work for it. They don't really want it that bad. And I think he brings that up a lot. Like, how bad do you want it? Because that's one of the most important things, that you won't really achieve it until you deserve it at some level, because the character changes within you. People who take the steroids, that's why I think they're frowned upon the most, is because they don't go through the trial. Like, I want it just enough to take the easy route. If you really want it, you're willing to go through the journey, go through the lion's den, come out the other side.
Yeah, I definitely like CT. And it's funny because he's like, man, I always wanted big arms. I just trained arms every damn day.
Every damn day.
Every damn
On
day.
New Year's, on my birthday, I was in the gym banging out arms.
Banging out arms every single day, which then you got those people that would be like, oh, well, you're overtraining. First of all, I think that's a bunch of bullshit. That might be it for another. That's gonna be for another video because that's a 30-minute conversation in itself. Is about overtraining and. But anyways, long story short, I think you're right. I think CT, he's got great physique. But and the people you named, I think that, if you were to look at pictures and compare them and say, that's kind of the thing is it's always subjective. It's always subjective. Everybody always feels differently about who they think has the best physique. But I know that I gravitate towards physiques that, like, I respect the person and I truly feel like that what they're doing and who they are and where they're going is truly something that's great. And I think that's kind of the point to be made is, I really respect Elliot. I really respect what CT's doing, and I care about them a lot more. And I want their physique because I think that the people they are, the person they are, is even more than just a great physique. And I think that's great. You there, Mr. Yoga Derek?
Right on, man. Yeah, definitely. Are you coming in?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's kind of
coming in clear.
Our connection's not as good as last week, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, with all that being said, I think that the best physique on the internet will probably change in the next 3 years, and there's another Jeff Seid or whoever else that comes on the scene. But you never know. It might be Yoga Derek. Yoga Derek might take over the internet.
I'm interested in doing this program by this guy. I can't pronounce his name. I think he's Russian. But he has this program called MoveNat. Okay. And what he does is just combine like all sorts of like basic human movements that should be done, like lots of one-legged squats, learning to jump properly, a lot of like pull-up type stuff. And I'm gonna go check out one of his seminars coming up here soon. I think it's like a 3 or 4 day thing. There's one in Chicago. But I want to combine that with the yoga and take yoga off the mat and really focus on these natural movements to develop like it'd be something. One thing, I mean, there's enough calisthenics in it that you could just do that, but also it could complement anything you do in your training. I know that when we did a lot of those stretches I worked with you on, like your squats, really got jacked up, when you were able to go through the full range of motion and you're using muscles at a mechanical advantage as opposed to some disadvantage where you're out of whack and you're putting too much strain in one area. So that's what's on the plate for me next in the fitness world.
You'll never believe what I just did, actually. Maybe Wednesday. So the gym that I go to, it doesn't have a squat rack. It's pretty crowded.
Oh.
This isn't normally how I am.
What are you doing?
I chose a cheap gym because it's pretty close. It's right next to a Starbucks and a Kroger that I can go to, and it's $15. But honestly, the only other places near me are CrossFit gyms, and I'm like, not that I have anything against CrossFit, but it's just not for me. It's just one of those things not for me. And I got kind of fed up one day. I walked into this cheap gym that I go to, and there's just like 30 people. And he was like, dude, there's no way I could do anything in here. So there's 2 CrossFit gyms near me. This place called CrossFit Dojo, and this place called like something training, like elite training. So I went to this elite training thing because I saw videos of it, and I walk in and I'm like, nobody was at the front desk. I was like, okay, this is kind of strange. So I went in there, and they've got like they've got like turf in there too. And I'm like, hey, like, do you guys sell month passes? And it was strange. She was like, this is a studio. I was like, okay, what's that mean? She's like, you can either do the CrossFit classes or you have to be with the personal trainer to work out here. And I was like, I thought that was kind of lame, and I was just like, all right, okay, whatever. And that's, I mean, they don't really do that back home. Like, that's not necessarily, usually it's like an all-in-one type thing. So I went, there's a place called CrossFit Dojo. It's like side of a building right next to the railroad tracks. I'm like, dude, whatever, I'm here. They're going to have a squat rack. Let's go check it out. And I walked in, and this guy named Art, he's like, hey. I'm like, hey, what's going on, man? He's like, he introduced himself, and he was like, I was like, I'm going to be honest with you. They're all maxing out that day. I was like, I'm going to be honest with you, Art. Like, I'm not really trying to do CrossFit. I just want to borrow a squat rack. I want to use like that 10 square feet right over there, just a bench, deadlift, squat. That's it. Like, can we figure something out? And he's like an older gentleman. He's like, you just want that right there? I was like, yeah, just that. I mean, just like that little space. Like, he's like, all right, you can go. And so I worked out there, and I think he was really impressed because you know this more than anybody. I wear baggy clothes to the gym. Usually I end up revealing later, but for the most part, I like to wear baggy clothes to the gym for multiple reasons. But, you know, I was deadlifting, you know, a good amount, over 400, and I was squatting, and I ended up bench pressing. My bench press is getting a lot better. And, you know, at the end of it, he was like, he started asking me questions about the way that I train, like, oh, why do you do suicide grip, or why do you do things like that? And he was like, hey, man, you know, like, we can work something out if you just want to come a couple times a week. Because that's what I told him. I was like, man, I don't want to. This isn't going to be like a daily thing because I'm going to need to do more than. I'm a bodybuilder, you know. I want to do more than bench, deadlift, and squat. And it's like, you know what? If you want to pay a day pass like $5, he's like, usually it's like $20, but you know, if you're just wanting to do that, he's like, I hope you come back and hopefully we see you soon. So I can't believe this, but I'm working out at CrossFit gym. I know it's a revelation because, like I said, I mean, it was one of those things where I was just like, and you know, I'll give CrossFit this. There's a lot of camaraderie. I know you went to that CrossFit gym in
yeah, I teach yoga at the CrossFit gym. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, everybody came up to me and you know, introduced themselves, and they're all kind of like I said, they're all maxing out, so they're all rooting for each other. And you know, even though I'm not interested in CrossFit, I thought that was really cool. And, I think
there's that sense of community that comes about.
Community, that's a good point. So you know, with all that being said, I was really impressed, and you never know. I mean, like I said, I think that I've become a lot more open to a lot of different kinds of fitness. Like, if you would have told me that I'd be interested in yoga or anything like that 3 years ago, I probably would have said hell no, because I was a hardcore bodybuilder. But now it's like, you know.
Now you're thinking about going to Pilates.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, Pilates is great. No, I mean, but I think that it's important to be well-rounded, you know, and I think that it could help me in a lot. Like, you know who Steve Cook is? Yeah,
you talk about Steve Cook all the time. He's in like the category for best physique, right?
Yeah, he's in physique competitions. You know, he does CrossFit like once a week, and I was always like, dude, that's kind of whatever, dude. Whatever you want to do, man, but that's not really for me. But I don't know. Like I said, it's
better than a treadmill.
Dude, you should have saw some of these guys, man. Who would have thought that like the most jacked dudes in town would be at a CrossFit gym that's like the size of like the Fieldhouse gym, you know, on Iowa. So like. Yeah. But it was crazy, and like I said, I mean, I think I've become a lot more open to that kind of stuff over the last few years. As I've kind of my personality's changed a little bit. I've gotten out of my stubborn ways, which I can have every now and then. But yeah, so it was a unique experience for me, and spent a couple hours there, which I never spend that much time in the gym. But you know, just talking to people, and like I said, everybody was maxing out and stuff too, and I thought that was cool. So I wanted to see what everybody's doing. Some dude was hang clean 375. I was like, Jesus Christ.
That's big weight.
And the dude was genetically blessed too, but that's besides the story. But yeah, man, I think I've become a lot more open, but I think that camaraderie is necessary in the gym, definitely. Yeah. And that's why, hey, did you see my video about trying to get a big meetup at the gym in Rock Island?
Yeah, I don't know where that is.
Listen, I'll pay for your gas. You come down, you hang out.
What day? Give it another blurb right here.
It's Sunday, August 31st, and I made my first mistake. I released that thinking I was doing a great job, and realized that that gym is closed from noon to 4 on Sundays for cleaning. So it's probably going to be around 4 to 5:30.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take whoever comes and says what's up, or I know as a sport I'm going to take out to dinner. That's the second part of it. So you're more than welcome to come. You can bring Greg.
What time on Sunday?
4 o'clock is the plan.
4 o'clock.
It could change. It's in a week and a half. A lot could change in the next week and a half, but the plan is 4 o'clock.
I normally teach some yoga then, but I can get worked around, and then.
I will be in Iowa City that Saturday though too. So if worst comes to worst, we could always get a training session in then.
Saturday.
Hannah lives in North Liberty.
Mm.
Hannah's my girlfriend for you viewers out there. So with that being said, I mean that's why I'll be there. So hey, listen, I'll be right down the street from you, so there's no reason why we can't get together.
Perfect, exactly.
No reason. All right, so I saw another picture of this paddleboard yoga, man.
Oh yeah.
Let's hear about it. Let's hear, because like I said, I mean, this looks like it could become a phenomenon.
Take off, yeah, take off. So paddleboard yoga, I've been doing it in Iowa City. It's like this new little kind of rec center, recreational outdoor place called the Terry Trueblood Center. And basically, they have a bunch of paddleboards out there that you can just rent. So anyone can come out, I mean, and like get on the water. It's not like you need to go buy your own paddleboard. They're definitely accessible. But what's great about paddleboard yoga is you have to be so mindful of the littlest movements. You're really like aware of like all the ways in which your body has to shift, like your weight, your balance, where your momentum's at. You can't be like flopping over. And so I've done it the last 2 weeks, last 2 Saturdays. We're going to continue doing it because we're getting a great following. People are loving it out there. It's also so great just to get out in nature. You know, I know you enjoy working out in the gym, but there's something about like being outside, working out. You know, like a couple weekends ago, I went out and just like slugged away. We were doing some like yard work type stuff, and like that was such a good. I met up with Joe Salentic. We were doing some yard work, you know, and like that to me, like I'm hauling bricks and like taking out like tree branches and stuff, and just getting down and like using your body, and you walk away from that like, ooh, you know, that was a good workout. I didn't count any reps or anything because sometimes we get too caught up in that psychobabble about like, oh man, I didn't hit my max, wasn't a good workout. When reality is you may have. But paddleboard yoga overall, great to get outside and breathe fresh air, working on your movements and that sort of stuff, and then overall, it's just kind of fun. It's a different scenery, you know. You're like on a paddleboard. It's fun just to like. Initially, I just like paddling around, and getting in the spot, and so that's been awesome as well. So it's something that's going to take off. I didn't really have much background in the paddleboard yoga. A gentleman just kind of approached me and asked me if I was interested in doing it, and I'm all about like, go for it, you know. In fact, the lady I did my yoga instructor training with, she has this T-shirt. This is like her motto. It's just like, make shit up. That's what I did. I was like, yeah, I can do this, and like did a little research on my own. I was like, you know what, it's gonna be fine. Like, let's just go with it, and it's been absolutely like 10 times better than I could have imagined. Like the classes flowed really well together. Everybody's had a ton of fun. This one woman fell in this last week. But honestly, it was the best thing for her because after she went in, then she wasn't nervous about, like, she had a really good attitude about it. Initially she was really like, I don't know, skeptical, and she didn't want to try anything too difficult because she thought she was going to fall in. And as soon as she did fall in, then she was like, fuck it.
It's whatever, yeah. It's fuck it. It's whatever.
Then she's having fun. And so I was like, you know what? Next time we're all just going to jump in and get back on your board. All right, now we're going to start class.
That's a good idea. I mean, is it for the most part traditional yoga movements?
Yes. So the theme that I take to the class is go slow and stay low. Okay. So we're not trying to do a lot of standing movements. I did include some. So some, like, if anyone out there is familiar with some yoga, we did do some sun salutation Bs. So we started to do some warriors and reverse warriors, and that was probably the most challenging aspect because as you bring your center of gravity up, that's when it becomes more wobbly. But for the most part, it's a lot of slower stuff. We're really focused on breathing, and for the most part is just being outside and being able just to relax. There's something about like hearing, you know, like crickets and frogs and stuff, and the water like flaps and splashes your board, and has like a natural, soothing stress relief aspect to it.
What day is it? Or what day have you?
Saturday mornings around 10 o'clock. But I'd be interested in expanding it. I mean, I could even do weekday evenings, you know. You just go for a quick sesh out, like 5 o'clock. Get out of work and take out your board.
Okay, let's plug this thing. Saturday mornings at
10 o'clock.
Where is it at?
Terry Trueblood Center, Iowa City, just off of, take Gilbert Street, you keep heading south, like past Hills Bank, past Carlos O'Kelly's. On your right-hand side, you'll see a big lake. Actually not a big lake, a little lake. A really little man-made lake.
If you know what, man, you never know. That Labor Day weekend, maybe I'll be getting out there.
There we go.
I think it'd be cool to film.
I would love to do it like the Caribbean as well.
Oh, hell
yeah. The water's a little bit clearer and stuff like that. But yeah.
Well, Mr. Derek, we have definitely exceeded our 25 minutes.
You have to trim this
last
up.
episode. No, you know what? It's whatever. I mean, if some episodes are 20 minutes, if some episodes are 3 hours, maybe not 3 hours, but
Are there some things you can cut from this and then use it to like? Cause I don't know, if I see a video and I'm like 46 minutes, I'm not watching that. I don't have time for that.
that's how we. Yeah, that's a good question. That's
Unless
a good
you
question.
or you got to make it into a podcast format that people can just download and play on the
Yeah,
go.
that would not be hard at all to do.
All right.
At all. So yeah, we could definitely do it. I think, like I said, I think we were talking about this earlier. We got some feedback about the first episode. I think people really like seeing us talk in a strange way. It kind of makes it a little bit more entertaining. And luckily, like I said, we need to figure out. I'm not gonna lie. I sent a message to one girl that's really into fitness back in the Quad Cities. I was like, hey, you should do this. Like, we're trying to get people on. I know you're interested in fitness. You're super active on. I don't know about. Yeah, that's true too. But I was like, you're super active on Instagram. Like, let's try to get something going. Never heard back. I don't know. I feel like people would love to do something like this, but maybe not. We got to keep pushing.
People I might reach out to that would be interested.
You
get more people on there.
Oh yeah.
Get more of an active discussion. Get some other, or even if you come in where you've got like your questions arranged ahead of time, and it's kind of like you have like a panel.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, and you're like, hey, I brought in this person this week because she's going to talk about, what girls that are nervous about getting in the gym and lifting weights. Sometimes that can be scary. You read all the magazine blogs about doing cardio and stuff like that, but how important is it to actually lift weights and how it's not really that intimidating,
Yeah, I think that's.
I have a friend right now I can think of right now, Madison Casper. If you're out there, I'm contacting you, and you're getting on this.
Is that the Madison I know?
I don't think so. I haven't seen this girl in a little while, but.
Wait, is this? Cool. I don't. You know what? People probably won't go this far in the podcast, so I'm just gonna ask it because no one's probably gonna see this. But is that the girl that you went out on the date with?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen this. She lives in Des Moines.
Oh, not the same Madison.
Not the same.
Oh, I thought. Hey,
Hey,
Eric is a single gentleman, single, good-looking guy. So
looking for the dream woman.
Looking for the dream woman. Hey, I don't blame you right there. But that could be for a whole nother. That could be a 4-hour discussion right there.
81. Yeah.
But yeah.
Now we got all sorts of topics. We got rants on. What's your big rant?
Rants on flexible dieting.
Flexible dieting.
Pretty much.
Ladies.
Rants on
being the type of man to attract the women you want in your life.
Yes.
There's another thing that you always get fired up about.
Dude, Derek knows there's certain
Different
things I'm
types of
always
training,
like.
yeah.
Different types of training. Yeah, I could talk about a million things. You and I both could talk about a million things.
I would love to talk about quality versus quantity. We could do that. Maybe spark there, and that would be a good one.
I definitely think so.
Finding that balance. I mean, because I was gonna bring up, you were talking earlier about you want to like limit the quantity, and it is some aspect like fast food places. McDonald's at some levels coming around. I mean, they've been doing a really, really shitty job, and they could be argued as one of the culprits for the obesity in America. Yeah. But it's also got to come from them to make the change because not everyone can afford the $8 kale shakes and like the super organic foods. You know what I mean? So we got to meet people wherever they're at. So there's more topics. Anybody else out there who watches this, Joe, if you got any ideas, next video. I love just playing it. It's been fun.
Yeah, man. I think, like I said, I mean, if I'll continue to reach out to people because it's one of those things where I want to reach out. I guess there's sometimes I'm like, man, it'd be cool to reach out to people that are like really well known. But at the same time, I like the non well known people that just have great stories too. Because everybody, you and I both know, everybody has a different story to tell, and I think that could add to it too. And I just like to do this. Yeah,
I like that aspect of like storytellers.
Yes.
That's, in the ancient days, like before we even had written language, wisdom and stuff was passed on through stories. Like stories are a really integral part of like human evolution. I would love. So I have a website that's going to be coming online soon.
Oh shit! This is big
including
news.
A portion of like going to be like a blog, like a video blog thing where I blog about some stuff. I'll upload some videos as well. And so I'd love to start uploading these or accessing a link or maybe even include something that was like, hey, check these out. Hop in on the live discussion. So.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, since this Google Hangout is live, we could definitely be pushing this more in the future. I think it's good for us to just get a couple episodes underneath our belts so we kind of understand how this technology works, because even we were having some issues earlier, and I'm still trying to kind of figure it out. But this is always good to learn. And like I said, if anybody else that watches this has any ideas for people they would like to see on, I'm more than willing, and I'm sure Derek's more than willing to kind of venture into that and see kind of what everybody else thinks too. Because really, this is obviously just a general conversation, but this is really to inform people and to help people out. Hopefully, eventually, we can get to the point where we have like a little Q&A discussion at the end of these. But but for now, Derek, as always, I'll put Derek's information in the description and with mine too, so you guys know how to get a hold of us. But for now, Mr. Derek, have a good week, and I'm sure we'll talk next weekend.
Done.